Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Average Age Plays. I'm the Iron Kaiser, and in this series I'm going to be going over the different civilizations of Age of Empires 2, and by discussing their unique unit, unique technologies, and primarily the civilization bonuses, we're going to be looking at how you can play the game in a unique, characteristic way for that civilization. We're talking about what do these different civilizations bring to the table. I think it's a lot of fun to theory craft about civilizations generally, and I also think that it's really useful for different players at different skill levels. I think for beginners, a lot of times, beginner players don't really know what the different civs bring to the table. They're thinking, okay, I see the unique unit, the Berserk or the Samurai is cool, but otherwise, what is it that the Vikings do or the Japanese do? How can I play them in a uniquely Japanese or Viking way? What else do they bring to the table other than their unique unit, right? I think even at the intermediate level, at the moderate level where I'm at, a lot of times what we do is we just tend to focus on generic general build orders. We'll learn our archer rushes or our knight rushes and that kind of thing. But, beyond that, we may not always take the time to sit down and think about what are the unique strategies and skills that the civilizations bring to the table. Now, the Aztec, I'm starting with them, and that makes sense on the one hand. They are alphabetically first. They're first on the list. So, it makes sense. But on the other hand, the Aztec have a lot of moving parts. So I want to go ahead and dive right in here because there are a couple things I want to touch on. If we look at the list, villagers carry +3 extra resources and a strong economic upgrade. All military units are created 11% faster. Monks gain 5 HP for every researched monastery technology. They start the game with 50 gold. And their relics generate 33% more gold. Now, even before we start talking about the unique unit and the unique technology, boy, that's a lot that the Aztec bring to the table. There are a couple of pieces I want to talk about. Let's talk about the economy first. So, this bonus about the villagers carrying +3 extra resources, that is a very strong economic upgrade in the mid-game and the late game. The reason for that is, you're able to collect more resources and reduce travel time. Whether you're a lumberjack or a farmer or whatever, you can put more resources in your pockets, the villager can, and that adds up over the course of the game. So the Aztec have a pretty good economy. It is, however, very, very tricky in the early game. And if you are a newer player, you're trying to learn build orders, or you're trying to take that next step, I would not recommend the Aztec for this reason. Because with every civilization, you have to learn force dropping when it comes to your boar, or in this case, the elephants, right? If you want to keep your town center from going idle, right, then you can't wait for the villagers to fill their pockets with food and, automatically drop off their food. You have to pay close attention to your town center, and as the villagers are collecting the food, you need to manually drop off the food at the town center and then manually set them back to work on the boar. That takes time, experience, and skill, just muscle memory to develop that habit. But for most civilizations, you only really have to worry about that with the boar. With the Aztec, though, you need to do that with every other sheep, basically. So you constantly have to keep an eye on your town center, constantly keep an eye on those villagers, because that +3 pocket space means that if you just sit there and wait for the villagers to fill up their pockets and then automatically drop off the food, then in the long run, your town center will, kind of in that Dark Age period, the town center will develop lots of idle town center time. And it will add up to where you are idle for much longer than you want to be. And of course, idle town center time means, like we see early on here, my opponent, CCC Castillo in the Goths, he has developed 1 minute and 20 seconds of idle TC time, and I believe that's the reason why he's down 3 villagers, right? So, and of course, being 3 vills down, that's a successful raid, and that does add up over the course of the game, and I think we will see that in this game. So, you do want to make sure that you're keeping your town center, productive. So it just requires that much more mental bandwidth to keep your town center productive as the Aztecs. It's great if you can make it work but it does mean that they are a harder civilization to play than some other civs are. Now, the other thing that we've got to talk about, and you actually see me working on this right here, you'll notice that I am pumping out 5 militia. The Aztecs are the only civilization in the game that can really do this, to my knowledge. And the reason for that is because they start the game with 50 bonus gold. Now, there are different ways that you could use this bonus. You could do a regular, 3 militia, push and just save the extra gold and food for the feudal age. You could save all the resources if you wanted to, but seeing as this is average age plays and this is so uniquely Aztec, I figured we've got to go for the 5 militia push. Normally, you start the game with 100 gold. You almost always want to research loom at your town center. That's 50 gold down. You're left with 50. So that only affords you 2 militia, and you have to send a militia over to the gold line and pick up 10 gold just to, pick up 60 so you can afford your 3rd militia, right? But because the Aztecs start with 150, you spend 50 for gold. That leaves you with 100 gold, and that means gold-wise you have all the gold you need for 5 militia. So we start the attack, and of course, typically, one of the key things to do is to keep eyes both on the attack, make sure that you're distracting your enemy, keep those, keep that attack going, but then also keep an eye at home too, and make sure that you are keeping your town center going, keeping your villagers working. If you're only focused on the attack and you let your economy go idle, then your raid may not be effective. In fact, it may even be a benefit for the enemy. If you're attacking, you're forgetting to do economy, and he's able to keep his eye on the economy, that would be a bad thing. Now you'll see, even though he's walled off, and there really aren't a lot of villagers I can attack and kill, I am keeping the villagers busy, idle, and his idle TC time balloons. You're going to see the idle TC time just goes up more and more and more, and the reason for that is, I believe, because of this attack. He's confused, he's focused on making sure that I don't get in and kill these villagers, and that pressure is making his economic situation even worse, right? He is in the feudal age. I'm only getting there. But take a look at this, right? He has upgraded his guys to men-at-arms. But even with that upgrade, my 5 beats his 3, right? So that's huge. That means he originally wanted to attack me with the drush. He can't do that now, right? I'm continuing to put pressure on him. No, I'm not getting kills. No, it's not the most impressive thing in the world, but I am keeping that pressure going, and we're going to see in a second here that I learned some very, very important information. All right, he pops out an archer. Now, I love this approach from Castillo. The Goths are not known for their archers. They are not an archer civ. But that can be a viable, valid strategy. And you'll see here, I do lose my militia. Maybe I could have played that better, but at that point, I kind of figured they had done what they needed to do. The main thing for me was now I've learned he's going into archers, right? So Goths aren't known for their archers. They don't have the best archers in the game, but sometimes when you're playing a civilization that is so well known for one particular strategy, that just mind gaming your opponent by going into a completely different strategy is a valid choice. So here, I think if this had been a surprise, he would have caught me off guard, and it could have been very dangerous. Thanks, though, to those extra 2 militia, because I'm the Aztecs, I had them around long enough for me to know that the archers are coming. Now, what I've got to do is I've got to quickly get an archery range up and get out some skirmishers fast in order to make sure that these archers can't get in and do any damage as I kill his scout. This is where that Aztec bonus, 11% faster military production speed, comes into play. The first skirmisher comes out just in time, right? And this shows you how that Aztec bonus can be used not just offensively, but defensively too. I knew the archers were coming. I've got to get skirmishers out fast. And because I'm Aztec, they do come out faster than they otherwise would have. Now, I don't know if I was playing a generic vanilla civilization, would that have made the difference? I don't know. Maybe it does. It certainly adds up. You know, I think the first skirmisher might have come out on time, but then what about the second? What about the third? This Aztec bonus is helping me get a skirmisher mass up just to make sure, because I'm pretty convinced he's going to keep going into archers, as indeed he is. I don't want to overcommit to skirmishers. They cost food and wood, which are, you know, they are cheap resources in the late game, but in the early game, they are, you know, it's important. Food and wood are very important for getting your economy going and online. So I don't want to spend too much on skirmishers, but just enough to make sure that he can't swarm me with archers, right? This also works because as an Aztec player, I think in the feudal age and the early castle age, what you want to do is go into archers yourself. The Aztec have pretty good archers. You can tech up into Arbalest. We see in the upper right-hand corner here. You can tech up into... Actually, no, they don't show that. But you do tech up into Arbalest. You do have almost a full blacksmith for your archers. You are missing the final archer armor upgrade. You are also missing Thumb Ring, which is pretty big because Thumb Ring is a technology at the archery range that lets your archers shoot faster and more accurately. So those are important bonuses that, because they're missing, I wouldn't say that the Aztec are top-tier civilizations, but top-tier for archers. But in the Castle Age, that is often a very good choice as kind of a stopgap for your late-game strategy. So I think a typical Aztec strategy is to do the drush, like I just did, into a feudal age, early Castle Age, archer force, crossbow force. But then the long-term plan is to go into infantry and eagles. Build up an Eagle Warrior horde for the Imperial Age. Because Garland Wars, it's a unique... I guess we haven't actually talked about the Aztec technologies yet, so we'll get there in a second. But the Aztec have very good infantry. They have very good eagles. And so if you can get up a good horde of eagles... And you'll see here, I did leave a hole in my base, and I realized just in time, wait a minute, you know, these archers are coming around. So... A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill there as I get that house up just in time to keep him from breaking through, right? I have the feeling right now that I'm doing better economically than he is, and I want to make sure that I'm keeping that eco going, because if he breaks in and gets off, you know, Vil picks, all of a sudden I have a weaker economy, and I probably have a weaker military right now, as we can actually tell, you know, by the bar here in Capture Age. Yeah, I do have a weaker army. So it's all about the economy for me right now. I want to get into the Castle Age, and from there, really begin to put the pressure on him. But it's all about the economy right now. And I'd say it's roundabout here where that, or maybe a little earlier, but this is where that Aztec bonus stops being a weakness and starts becoming a strength. You know, as your economy is ballooning, now that extra pocket space just means your villagers are more effective. So not only do I have more vills than my opponent does, but they probably are better villagers than his Goth villagers are. So that works for me. We're both teching up. He's a little faster to Castle Age, but that's okay. The game is not won or lost by who techs up first. Technology means nothing if you can't do anything with it, right? So I think I've got a pretty good economic foundation, and my focus right now is I've got enough skirmishers that I feel, you know, like I can push back, you know, his archers. Now it's time to get archers of my own. So you do see that I am pushing out the archers. I am starting to work on my archer blacksmith techs. All of this is supported by a good economy. Now, when we hit the Castle Age, I want to say that this is something that I do pretty quickly. I am also going to want to prioritize a monastery. Now, that is for a couple of reasons. One reason is because if you are going heavily into archers and skirmishers, you recognize that one of your possible weaknesses is knights. I've had so many games where I decided to go into archers, and I go all archers, and I all of a sudden get hit with knights, and I die. Now, you can put out a couple of spearmen or a couple of pikemen to kind of support your archers. I think that's a good choice. You should do that. In fact, I think I do actually build a couple of spearmen just as an anticipation, a just-in-case move, right? But another choice, it's a great choice, particularly if you're an Aztec player, is to go monks. I want to go monks for a couple of reasons. First, just because they're fun. And it's always fun to get a conversion off on an enemy knight, especially as a Meso Civ where you can't build knights of your own. But it's always fun to take somebody else's unit and make them your own. But take a look once again at those Aztec bonuses. All right, I get 33% more gold from relics. So that means I want to put a priority on relics. I need gold. I'm an Aztec player. I really want gold. And those bonuses are really nice. But then also, I wanted to, if possible, show off the Aztec bonus of, you know, having healthier, sturdier monks with those techs and show how they can actually be used in a real game. So we'll see if that comes into play. But I do want to try it out. Now, fortunately, he does hit me with the knights, and I did not have a response. You'll see I'm getting spearmen out now, and here comes the monastery, right? So I was a little slow on getting my response out for knights, and that was a dangerous situation. Fortunately, he did not he did not have enough knights to make a difference. I did have enough archers up where he had to pull back. So I will have a response for him the next time he comes out with knights. I do have to say, taking my eyes off the Aztec for a second, I really enjoy the way Castillo is playing this. I think the Goths are so well known as an infantry civilization that you just expect a Goth player to mindlessly go infantry, infantry, infantry. And I like him starting out by saying, okay, let's try archers. Let's try surprising with an archer force. Let's try getting knights out. And then, if Castillo gets the momentum and the advantage, he can put me in a position where his superior, you know, infantry horde becomes, you know, a real danger, right? Fortunately, though, I've always been one step ahead. I expected the archers thanks to my drush, and then I sort of worried about knights, and unfortunately, I was, you know, had a response for that even before the spearmen came out. So, right now, I think I've got an advantage. I have the situation is flipped where he has a couple more villagers than I do, but I do have a much stronger army now, and we are getting again kind of that army out. So hey, cool thing here. Another reason why monks are neat is they can help top off your army, and that does make a difference. You know, it's sort of like one of those for want of a nail sort of things. Games where because you had a weak unit that died early, that meant that the knight was able to get to the next unit just early enough, and dominoes start falling just because you had a unit that was, you know, weaker. Because these guys are fully healed, they may be able to survive a mangonel shot that they otherwise wouldn't now that the mangonel's out on the field. Oh, here's the situation. I missed this earlier. I had a situation where the knights... No, here it is. This is the situation. He tries to raid with knights, and in the nick of time, I get the house up behind it, so he can't go in and raid me. Boy, oh boy, was that close. The game might have been, once again, round 2 of Castillo raiding me, and it almost made a difference there. Conversion off for the monk. So one knight is mine. That makes a big difference. I chase for a little bit, but really that's a bad idea. You're not gonna... Well, here. Actually, I take it back. That's not a bad idea. So, his knights go down now. He's a little distracted, so thanks to that one conversion. If it weren't for the one conversion, all 4 knights escape. Thanks to that one conversion, all 4 knights go down. That's the power of the monks right there. Right? On top of that, I do see that I have 2 relics on the map right now. As I admit to you, I have forgotten to keep moving my scout. I'm focused on other things. Big fight taking place here, but I have another monk ready to go. And I do get another knight conversion off. Now, you'll notice that monk, I'm not researching any technologies yet. So that monk had 35 health. Pretty typical, monk situation. And he died, and I think that was 3 hits by the scorpion. But that monk goes down. So hopefully we'll have a situation where, we see our healthier monks with more HP make a difference, right? But right now I'm thinking about putting pressure on my opponent. I get the feeling that I have the advantage right now. I've won some fights that I otherwise would not have. Or I've won some critical fights early on. So I get the feeling that now is the time for me to push on. Right here. I had since researched some technologies, right? So he had 55 HP. It meant that the knight had to do an extra attack than normal. Castillo didn't expect that. He hit and he ran away. And he had to then turn around and go back. Yes, the monk did die, but that extra HP meant the knight had to stick around longer, and so the knight died. That force got cleared up, and that just secures military domination for me right now. 35 military units to 3. I'm in a really good position. And so far, all of these Aztec bonuses have been helping me out. So this has been a really, really nice game for showing off the Aztec strengths. Again, I need gold. I know that. So that's why I'm getting the relics, and these relics are doing more for me than normal relics are. It's not flashy, but it means a lot. I suddenly realized the hole in the wood line here, so I'm going to plug that in just a second. So, I'm trying to keep my gold going in order to keep up the archers. And originally, up to this point, I was still thinking, let's go Eagle Warrior, right? But I realized something. As I see the castle goes up, and it's really when I see the castle that my memory clicks and I'm saying, wait a minute. Yeah, I've been fighting archers and knights this whole time, but he's the Goths. And I'm really worried about the Goth player going infantry. So maybe what I need to be doing instead, as I plug up the hole in the wall, maybe I need to be thinking about my unique unit, the Jaguar Warrior. Because if he does go Huscarl, he sees that I've been massing archers. So I'm thinking, all right, if I'm Castillo, what am I going to do? Well, if he's going archers, the Huscarl is the ultimate anti-archer infantry unit, right? So I need to be worried about that. So I need to have a response ready. And in a little bit here, you'll see that I decided to start going Jaguar Warrior as a response. The Jaguar Warrior is the Aztec unique unit. It's kind of like a swordsman. And its main claim to fame is it has plus 10 bonus damage against other infantry units. So if you have an opponent going heavy into pikemen, heavy into swordsmen, heavy into an infantry unique unit, the Jaguar Warrior is a really good response. And here we go, I'm massing them up. Again, just predicting that he is going into the Goths. And of course I can't see this while playing the game. He's researching Anarchy, which lets him build Huscarl out of barracks. So yes, Castillo wants to go Huscarl. I have correctly read the situation, and fortunately the Aztecs have just the right tool in their toolbox to deal with an infantry force. I'm researching the Imperial Age, so is he. It's neck and neck. My main thought right now is hit the Imperial Age, upgrade my archers. I want to get Arbalest out there because I do have a good archer force, even if I'm not going to go archers the whole rest of the game. Right now, this is really working for me, and I want to keep my edge, right? Get up Jaguar Warriors, but also, as soon as I hit Imperial Age, start focusing on trebuchets. Now, we do see a raid coming in from Castillo, and this time, I'm too slow. I try to get there as fast as I can. I'm just a little too late. Villager goes down. And note, by the way, and I got to give Castillo credit for this, he has a stronger economy than I do at this point. Even though, again, my +3 pocket size means that it's maybe not as big a difference as it normally would be. He still has over 20 more villagers than I do. That's a strength of his. At this point, I was realizing, like, I have a much stronger military position. I want to try to go for the win now, right? So I sort of let that curtail my economic production. That's a mistake. So something I need to keep in mind as I move into future games. And we'll probably see this kind of thing in other average age plays games, I'm sure. But Trebuchet is coming out. Again, the whole idea here is once you hit the Imperial Age, you want to make sure that you win the Treb War. He comes at me with the Huskarl, and if I did not have Jaguar Warriors, this would have been devastating. The Trebs die, the archers can do nothing about it. He wins that Treb War. Instead, Jaguar Warriors come out, and they wipe the floor with these Huskarl. I don't know that a single Jaguar Warrior dies. I do lose a Treb, but that's okay. I've got more Trebs coming out. He doesn't. So as soon as this one Trebuchet goes down, he's in a tough situation. Again, it's great that he has more villagers, a stronger economy, but if you're in this situation militarily, 54 military units to 4, it's a tough place to be in. Okay, so I send my Jaguar Warriors forward. The goal is just to knock out the Trebs, try to secure Trebuchet dominance on the field. Right? It's worth losing Jaguar Warriors to keep my momentum going. Right? Another option that I don't think I take advantage of in this game, but I also should have teched into Garland Wars. It's the Imperial Age unique technology that gives your infantry even more attack. So if I'm going heavy into Jaguar Warriors, if I'm expecting that he's now committed to full-on infantry, then that would make my units even better. But as it is, this is working, right? The Jaguar Warriors up front, the archers behind. This is great. I don't feel the need to go into Eagle Warriors, another great Aztec option, because this is working so well. Normally, a lot of times civilizations don't play infantry. They'll stick to knights or they'll stick to archers, in which case I would use skirmishers combined with the Atlatl Castle Age unique technology. It gives their skirmishers +1 range, +1 attack. So Aztecs have very good skirmishers. I would have focused on maybe pikemen for the Aztec. They don't get halberdier, but they do get strong pikemen for knights. And then go into Eagle Warriors. Garland Wars helps out Eagle Warriors as well. And I would have done a lot of raiding and killing of villagers and that kind of thing with their Eagle Warriors. But here, again, I've secured the Treb War, right? I have a bunch of Trebuchets on the field, and now, even if he gets out 1 Trebuchet, 2 Trebuchets, they would get sniped down very quickly by my heavy mass. He is sending in infantry. I don't know why he chose to go just plain infantry. I think he's out of ideas, right? As Hiram often says, he's out of airspeed, altitude, and ideas. The infantry get wiped out by Jaguar Warriors and by archers. So this is just not working for him. And at this point, he's sort of lost momentum, and he's going to have to call the GG, and he's second now. But this is just a classic game on how to play the Aztecs. All of these bonuses on display that show how the Aztec are a really strong civilization. They bring a lot of fun things to the table. It does require you to have a strong eye on your economy in the early game. It requires extra, micro and mental bandwidth to keep those villagers, dropping off that food and keeping your town center going without idle TC time. It's also important to kind of know what your opponent is doing and make the right counter picks. This game was all about me realizing what Castillo was about to do, or was going to do, and responding effectively. So I knew in advance that he was going to go into archers. That's why I got the skirmishers out. I knew in advance that he was going to go into infantry. That's why I got the Jaguar Warriors out. And again, that Aztec faster production time made the difference there in getting out a big army faster, responses to his army faster. It gave me a flexibility that other civilizations don't possess. So that is Average Age Plays Episode 1 Aztecs. Everyone always says like and subscribe, right? But leave a comment as to what you think the Aztecs are good at. What sort of things do they bring to the table that maybe I didn't talk about? Share with me your stories about your Aztec plays. And we'll be back next time with the Berbers. Thanks, guys. Iron Kaiser, signing out.